was not placed on the agenda. Do we need to put that on the next month's agenda?
I mean, I think it requires a ruling from the chair on the motion, whether the motion last month was adequate to address them all, to address all the invoices presented. It seems to provide discretion to somebody, presumably Frank, to decide which, if any, of the checks did not fit the category or was authorized to hold them back.
So he states that they're all.
So Aaron decided that they all fit.
He decided that they were all that way.
Well, I'm just trying to piece together what occurred. It seems to me that the motion was brought to allow somebody, presumably the president, the discretion to determine that. He did determine that and sent them out. And so the motion was probably sufficient to approve them all, but if you want to clean them up, if you want to make sure it is, then there's a motion to approve any invoices that we've left to get there that way. That's what you're talking about.
Are we allowed to add that to the agenda?
Yeah, I mean, this provision deals with financial reports and invoices and so forth, and it doesn't specify limited to just this month, so it's exactly what it does. You can address clean up the line.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a judgment call from the chair.
Okay. And Ms. Webb, did you have the opportunity sufficiently to review those statements?
I really, because the checks were not there, I did not have an opportunity to look at the collectively the checks and the invoices and the receipts. I saw what was there, and that's all I saw what was there.
Okay.
I don't even know that it was all of them. I don't know, but I did see what was there. Again, had I had the checks in there, there are some I would not have approved.
All right, at this time, I'd like to see if we could have a motion to request that Mr. McCready be authorized for this one past month only to have the authorization to have paid those bills without verifying and coming before the board for full approval. Requested a motion on that. And if I have a first or a second.
Could you repeat that, please?
Yes, the motion is that for this one last month, Mr. McCready was allowed at his discretion to see that all the bills were paid. Okay?
Does that mean that from now on he won't have that discretion?
No, ma'am, it does not mean that necessarily. That this one past month was approved, to be approved by the board of directors.
But we'll talk about what happens in the future
Yes,
later at another agenda.
Yes, as far as it goes for agenda items as well as pertaining to our policies and procedures. We have to have a written policies and procedures in place. Those will be taken into consideration by our committee and then presented to the board of directors.
But that's not under policies and procedures, the approval of the checks.
We don't have a policies and procedures specifically in place for the board and Mr. McCready at this time.
What I'm saying is that policies and procedures doesn't handle the approval of the funds that we're entrusted to handle. So it doesn't give him the power to do what we have the power to do. Does that make sense?
It does if we authorize it.
Not really. If we are the governmental body, we 8 people have been voted in by the public to do a particular job, we can't give that job to someone else.
Yes, ma'am, I understand your concern, okay? But because it has set a precedence over the terms past, and because we do not have a policies and procedure in place at this time, this board shall be allowed to make the decision for which that last month, because it has been set as a precedence for Mr. McCready to have been able to make those decisions to pay those bills.
But the legislation says that we are the ones entrusted with monies.
Yes, ma'am, we have been entrusted, and Mr. McCready has been hired by us to be entrusted. And as the president, CEO of the entity, he has certain leeways to make certain decisions.
But he still has to have our approval before he can do it. Am I right, Mr. McCready?
Certainly, I work
That's what I said. That's what I said. So he has to have our approval in order to do anything. Contracts,
I think that's what I said
yeah.
an hour ago.
Yes, he does have to have our approval.
What I mean is we don't give him the approval, we approve whatever he gives us and presents us, and we approve it, right?
We can't give him the approval if we all vote to do that.
I don't know if you can do that or not. Actually, as an elected official, I don't think you can do that. You can't give the power of an elected official to a non-elected official. I don't believe, but you can check that out. I don't know.
I don't know how the government agencies work that have employees. I don't think that the commissioners or constables or any other offices sit there and look at every check. They have appointed people that they pay, that they've entrusted to do that, that have to answer to them. And they're elected officials also.
They have to have somebody to sign those checks. They have to have somebody that has the power invested in them, because, you know, the governmental.
I think that this is just.
Okay, well, this may be something that we need to discuss in a workshop as well, as to make sure that we have adequate policies and procedures in place, okay? At this time, I'd like to request a motion that we give Mr. McCready the opportunity to, at his discretion, see that his payments have been made this last month. And, well, we have the motion that we have is already drawn.
Madam Chair, he's wording it
Yes,
better.
I think the simplest path is to just do a motion to approve all invoices that were presented last month and
And Mr. McCready's discretion that were paid last month.
put that in, get rid of it.
Okay?
This is really review.
All right. But if we need that as a vote, correct?
Well, that was your, if that's your ruling, whether you,
As a ruling, as the chairman of the board, that we allow Mr. McCready to have that option for last month to see that those payments were made.
Are you making a motion?
No, ma'am, I'm making it.
Can I be recognized, please? Can I be recognized?
You may.
I would like to make a motion that last month's bills all get paid that were due and that were, checks were written for and signed by 3 directors. And I would like to move on. I would like to ask for a motion and get this behind us, that all bills for last month, because this was our procedures all along, that he had the authorization to mail them out. And Frank is bonded.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
We have a first by Linda Floyd and a second by Isadora Guevara, that Mr. McCready be allowed at his discretion to have made these payments for this last month.
No, I just pay them. My motion was to pay them.
That they were paid.
Authorized to be paid.
Authorized that they're paid.
Approval of the payment.
Ma'am,
My
Approval
motion.
of the payments, which.
approval of the payment, sir.
What I've got is a motion to approve all invoices presented last month.
That's right.
Yes.
That's what my motion was, not something else. And I want to make sure that, you know, my motion is getting put down there. Not something I didn't say. Thank you, David. Well, no, I mean, because I thought.
Okay,
it was-
excuse me, thank you. We have a motion on the floor at this time. All in favor of allowing all the bills for last month to have been paid, please show by raising of your hand. All opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, the next on our agenda is to consider the status of the development of the 12.85 acre site and construction of improvements in the leasing of space in the district's office buildings and taking any action required in connection therewith.
Nothing recorded of
Nothing. Thank you very much. At this time, which is 7:28, we will recess to executive session to discuss real property matters pursuant to section 551072 of the Texas Government Code pending in contemplation litigation pursuant to section 551.071 Texas Government Code or matters in which the duty of the attorney of the district under the Texas disciplinary rules, professional conduct, and the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with Chapter 551, the Texas Government Code pursuant to Section 551.071, Texas Government Code and Economic Development Negotiations pursuant to Section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code. We will be in recession, and we will be back as soon as we possibly can. We'll be in recession. Recess. We're in recession already.